Today's episode is called Stolen Bloodlines, and this conversation might make some people uncomfortable because we're not just talking about stolen land, we're talking about something deeper. This is Before the Borders. It's a nice show. We're talking about stolen bloodlines.
Before the lie was told, before the flag was planted, before violence was blessed and called destiny, before colonizers arrived claiming new land with old blood on their hands, before survival meant fighting extinction, this land was not discovered. It was invaded. This is Before the Borders.
This is episode 6, Stolen Bloodlines. All right, Stolen Bloodlines. Colonization was never just about land. It was about erasing the people who originally belonged. Who was originally here? You know, we're going to go over this topic every time, every week, every Monday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, Before the Borders. Who was here originally? That's the question. And who were those original people? Were they native? Because they wasn't calling themselves American. They wasn't calling themselves indigenous. They wasn't calling themselves these things. They wasn't calling themselves Indian or native. Colonization brought upon these terms, and the people that colonized them told them who they are today. They didn't tell them they were Israelites. They didn't tell them they were the Jews of God. What did they tell them? They told them that they were Native American, which is false. It is false. It was about erasing the people who originally belonged. If you remove a people's identity, if you rewrite their ancestry, you convince future generations they were never really there. Let's read that. Psalms 83. Because that is what happened. The white man came over here and studied the so-called Native American Indians and said, wait a minute, these people are the Israelites. These people are the Jews. They practice the customs of the Israelites in the Bible. We can't let them know. So what did they do? They erased our heritage and told us who we were. So now today in 2026, when we hear that the Native Americans, the Hispanics, are Israelites, we immediately reject it because we have been brainwashed to believe that the white man knows who we are better than we do. Psalms 83 in verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. Christianity won't teach this. I've never heard this scripture in the Bible. I've never heard this scripture in the Bible that God has enemies. There are nations on this earth, not people, nations. What goes in a nation? Their traditions, their customs, their bloodline, the way they think, their DNA. All these things go into building a nation. Their leaders. God says there are nations on this earth that hate him. That means their customs is contrary. Their beliefs are contrary. The way they deal with society is contrary. Their DNA is designed to be contrary to the Lord. And if they hate God, they hate his people. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They don't say all people. It don't say that everybody took crafty counsel against all of God's people, which is everybody. That made no doggone sense. If everybody is God's people, who's taking crafty counsel against God's people? If everybody is God's people, that don't make no sense. There's a distinction between the crafty counsel and God's people. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Who are hidden? The white man ain't hidden. The white man bombing Iran. They ain't hidden. They letting the world know that they are the superpower. Trump say we got enough ammunition to go to war forever. That's what Trump said. Trump said we got enough ammunition, weapons, military, guns, bombs, nukes, tanks. We got enough to go to war forever. They not hidden. China ain't hidden. China got nukes too. China say, hey, just say the word, DJ Trump. Just say the word. Russia, just say the word. Hell, even Iran is not hidden. Iran say, we don't want peace. We want problem, always. Iran say, we don't want peace. Iran telling Trump, hey, whatever U.S. base is in our vicinity of power to hit, we hitting them. They not hidden. The world know who they are. Every nation, everybody, they have the power to not be hidden. They have the power to go to war, to come back if somebody come against them. So you gotta ask yourself, who are God's hidden ones? Who doesn't have power on this earth? Who is looked at like nothing? The black man ain't got no power. The Hispanic man ain't got no power. The Native American man ain't got no power. That's why we march the streets saying, I'm a man. Ain't no other country out there marching the streets saying they a man. They bombing stuff. You mess with them, they bomb you. You mess with black people, we march. You mess with Native Americans, we march. That's because we are God's people. Let's keep reading. Verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Think about that. What nation is still standing today? All the nations that stand today with power, they can't be God's people. America, China, Russia, Japan, all these nations, all these higher ups, their nation ain't been cut off. Who's been cut off? Through colonization, through slavery, post-traumatic slave syndromes. Who went through that? Those are the people that have been cut off from their nation. Who was stolen from the west coast of Africa? From right here in America, Arcerith. From South America, from the islands, the West Indies. Who was stolen? Who was told, save the Indian, kill the Indian, save the man? Who was told that? The white man wasn't told that. The Chinese man, you never heard anybody say, kill the Chinese man, save the man. That's not that don't even make sense. That don't even go together. You never heard, kill the Russian man, save the man. Never heard it. They so mad at Hitler and Germany. Why is Germany still a nation? If Germany did so bad by killing millions and millions and millions of Jews. Why they still a nation? Nobody ever thought of that. You never heard, kill the German, save the German man. Never heard it. But you hear, kill the Indian, save the man. Verse 4. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. God says his people wasn't going to remember who they are. They wasn't going to remember they were the Israelites. So you got to ask yourself, if there's a people on this earth that are actively saying they are God's people, you got to question that. I'm talking about a nation of people, like the white man in Israel today, saying they are the Jews of God. God says his people, Israel, they weren't going to remember who they are. They weren't going to remember nothing. How? Through slavery. We're going to read it. Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. This is all the nations. All the nations came together and said, we got to cut them off from being a nation. They are confederate against thee. Confederate? Don't that sound familiar? Confederate. That sounds familiar to me. I mean, they came together. The EU, NATO, all these nations come together. And they have meetings about your life in rooms you're not invited to. They have meetings about your nation, your safety, in rooms that you're not even invited to. Verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom. Edom is the white man. Idumea. And the Ishmaelites, the Arabs. Guess what? They hate your black behind too. They hate your Native American behind too, your Hispanic behind too. They hate your guts. They just fighting together right now. But eventually, they're going to turn their anger on God's people once again. Moab, the Chinese. All these nations have come together and said, let us cut these Native Americans off. Kill the Indian. Save the man. Once people lose their original name, their history becomes easier to rewrite. Imagine someone taking your family name, replacing it, then telling your future generations it never existed. That's how bloodlines disappear. They found out who you were. Then they told your offspring you're Native American. And through the process of time, when someone comes back and say, hey, did you know your ancestors were calling themselves Israelites? The modern generation will never believe it. That's how bloodlines disappear. Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28. This is Moses speaking to the Israelites in the wilderness coming out of Egypt. He's telling them the things that's going to come upon them in the last days, in the future. Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given into another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail for longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Who else that happened to? Who else? The 1800s, 1700s, 1600s. Who else did it happen to? Y'all gotta understand, in this country, the white man was allowed to kick down the door of a so-called Native American and take their children and send them to boarding schools. And now, hundreds of years later, they're finding all these baby skeletons and bones and heads and buried under these boarding schools. What were they doing? What were they doing to our babies, to our daughters, our sons in these boarding schools? They were raping them, molesting them, and killing them, starving them, experimenting on them, cutting their hair, changing their language. Sounds like what we just read. Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Your names will be changed. You'll be called outside of your God-given name. God deals with nation, nationality. You telling me the name God gave us is not good enough? God said you are Gad. The white men say you're Native American, and we take it. God says the black man is Judah. The white man says, no, you're a nigger. You're African American. And what do? We celebrate Black History Month, which is the same month as Pride Month. They put your history in the same month as homosexuality. And then what they do? Trump say, we need to knock all these black historical remembrance of slavery, knock it down. Hate speech. This bull crap. How we hate speech? You said the law got flagged for hate speech? How's it hate speech? I think I'm still on. This is crazy. The live just got, what do they call it? Flagged for hate speech. How's this hate speech? We reading the Bible. Coupling it with history. Hey man, this is how you know you're doing something right. Because you could turn on a TikTok live right now and watch somebody shaking their butt for free. Breast all out. You can watch some naked dude on here talking about lifting weights. I seen a video the other day where it's this dude interviewing porn stars. And they going into graphic detail. I'm like, what the? And this dude got millions of followers. He's interviewing porn stars. And he's asking them questions from the viewers that's asking questions. He asks them, and they go into detail. Like literally, if you dealt with porn, that would make you go find out who that was. But we get flagged. All praises to the Most High. Hey man, this is before the borders, man. This gonna make you uncomfortable, TikTok. This gonna make you uncomfortable. But guess what? The remnant will wake up. The remnant will believe. Oh, we got more. We's got more. Let me see something. Get the Trail of Tears. I know we love books here on this show. We love books. We love books. Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans like to read. But we'll read it for you, and we'll bring out the details. Maybe you'll buy the book and learn a little history about yourself. This is the Trail of Tears. And we brought this book out before, a few episodes ago. It's the rise and fall of the Cherokee Nation. The reason why I want to bring this book out is to let you know that the white man knew who you were, studied you. You so-called Native American Indians. The white man knew who you were. And let's talk about the Cherokee Nation. specifically on the Cherokee Nation, because we're going to go into something called the 5 civilized nations. The reason why they call them the 5 civilized nations, the Cherokee was one of them, is because they assimilated freely and willingly. A lot of Native American tribes fought against assimilation. So we're going to go into a little bit. This is page 1. Page 1. Yep. Investigations were made in the 17th and 18th centuries to determine whether the American Indians were the lost tribes of Judah. And it was pretty well proved both yes and no. The reason why this white man, by the way, John L., the reason why he said it was proved that they were Judah and it was proved that they are not Judah, because the Native American Indians are not from the tribe of Judah, but they are Israelites. So this white man understood that. It was investigated during the 17th and 18th century. The 1700s, the 1800s. It was investigated that these Native American Indians are indeed Israelites. They ain't from the tribe of Judah, but they are Israelites. Watch this. And unprovable either way, which made it an excellent topic for study and exploitation. One populated by warm bodies and tear-stained faces and beautiful, weighted children. James Adair, an Irish trader, white man, who lived among the Cherokees for 40 years, decided the Indians were indeed one of the lost tribes and wrote 70,000 words on the subject at a time when printed words were dear. Maybe y'all don't understand what that means. That means it was almost impossible to have that many words printed during the time that he lived in. But it was so much evidence that he couldn't stop writing. It was so much evidence and proof that he continued to write and write and write and write. 70,000 words. Watch this. He used as evidence such topics as the division into tribes. And other people does that. Chinese don't do that. Their language. That means what language were they speaking? Hebrew. We read that. We read it a couple weeks ago. The view of the Hebrews. In the view of the Hebrews, it shows that the Native American language was Hebrew. We got the books. We's got the books. He used as evidence such topics as the division into tribes, their language and dialects, their festivals, feasts, and religious rites. The Native Americans kept the Sabbath day. They kept Feast of Pentecost. They kept Feast of Tabernacles. They kept the Passover. They kept New Moon. They did all these things. And all of those gave, what's his name? John L. Gave him all the words he needed to write down to prove that by these rituals, by these customs, these people are the Israelites. Watch this. Their absolutions and anointings, their laws of uncleanness, their avoidance of unclean things, their practices of marriage, divorce, and punishment for adultery, their ornaments. What's this? I'll show y'all their ornaments. Show y'all their ornaments. Get the picture. Get the pictures. Show y'all their ornaments. Zoom in. Y'all see, this is a so-called Native American from the Cherokee tribe. When you zoom in, go down to the border of her dress. Can you zoom in? Yeah. So you see that is fringes. And that border of blue on the top of those fringes. So when John L. says that their ornaments, their apparel, their clothing made him realize that these are the Israelites. That was what he saw. Go to the next one. This is another example of what our sisters wore. That's fringes. Go to the next one. That's another example. Fringes. Fringes. Go to the next one. Another example of what? Fringes, ornaments, clothing that resemble the Israelites in the Bible. Is there another one? There should be another one. If it's not, that's fine. All right, take that off. All right, Numbers 15:38. Numbers 15 and verse 38. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak of the children of Israel, and bid them means to make. Bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations. That means what? Forever. And watch this. And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. That's what we saw. Our sister had fringes on the bottom of her dress with what? A ribbon of blue. That's what we saw. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them. And that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring. That ye may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God. So what happened? Today, our sisters and brothers, they still wear those apparel. But guess what? They don't know why. They held on to that, but they have no idea why they're doing it. Those are fringes. That is a sign that you are God's people. Even the so-called Jews don't wear fringes. They wear tzitzis, which is not in the Bible. They got string, just white strings that they pulled out of the last bit of their clothing. They just pulled the thread out and attached it. No significant at all. Get the powwow. Watch this. We're gonna give y'all some more. This is the powwow. We've been to many powwows. And in every powwow is more is more like a show. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows why they're doing it. Nobody knows why we're wearing these things. It's just a show. But I'm gonna show y'all something. Watch this. Play that. I want y'all to understand something. Pause it. I want y'all to understand something. Imagine the white man step foot on Arsarith, and all they hear is millions of men chanting Yahweh, Yahweh. Bro, imagine the fear. They're like, yeah, we gotta kill everybody. We gotta put smallpox and syphilis, and we gotta do it. What was it called? Chemical warfare. Cause we can't kill these people. Can you imagine that? That's maybe hundreds. Imagine millions chanting. Cause we read in the book a couple episodes ago that the Native Americans, they would come together to worship God of Israel and chant Yahweh, Yehovah, Yahweh. Like they would chant these things. Watch this. Play on. It went out. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So these are the sisters, right? They're doing these dances. Skip. Now watch this. I'm gonna show y'all something. 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 Yep. Skip it to the men. Skip it to the men. No, play it. Play that. That's fine. Just now. What do y'all hear? Pause. What do y'all hear? It's a distinct sound at every powwow, and they start dancing like this. It's a distinct sound that you hear. The bells. Why would they be wearing bells? You got to ask yourself that. I've asked many Native American Indians at powwows, why do y'all wear bells? Because that is a custom that they all do. They put bells on their garments. They put bells on their ankles. They put bells on their all around. That's biblical. Let's read it. It's the book of Exodus. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 28. Watch this. In verse 30, we're going to start at verse 30. Verse 30. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. Aaron was the high priest. Watch this. Verse 31. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod of all blue, and there shall be an hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as with a hole of a harebuggon, that it be not rent. Now watch this. Verse 33. And beneath upon the hem of it, thou shalt make pomegranates of blue and of purple and of scarlet round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about. A golden bell and a pomegranate. A golden bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, and when he cometh out, that he die not. So why was the Native American Indians wearing bells? watch this, Deuteronomy 33. It's Deuteronomy, is it 33? Deuteronomy 33rd chapter. Where is it at? And no, not Asher. Gad. Verse 20. Watch this. And of Gad, he said, blessed be he that enlargeth Gad. He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head. And he provided the first part for himself. Talking about this land, Arsareth. That's why Gad had the best part. Because there in a portion of the lawgiver was he seated. What is that portion talking about? It's talking about the priest. So what was Gad over here? The priest. So Gad started doing all the things that the Levites were doing. The breastplate, the Thummim, the Urim, the bells. Gad, the so-called Native American Indians, they started doing all those things because the scriptures tell you they were what? They were in a portion of the lawgiver was he seated, and he came with the heads of the people. He executed the justice of the Lord and his judgments with Israel. That's that 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. That's why when you think of medicine mans, you think of Native American Indians. When you think of the one that's closest to the earth, you think of Native American Indians. Because they were the priest over here in Arsareth. So, when you see those powwows and our brothers are chanting and dancing with bells, that's the history. They are the Israelites. And specifically, they are the tribe of Gad. Bloodlines being stolen. Example. In the 1800s, there was something called the Dogs Act. All right? We're going to get it. There's something called the Dogs Act. Let's get it. Is it up? All right, let me pull it up so I can read it. The Dogs Act of 1887. Approved on February 8th, 1887, an act to provide for the allotment of lands in severity to Indians on the various reservations, known as the Dogs Act. Emphasize severity, I think I'm saying that right, the treatment of Native Americans as individuals rather than as members of a tribe. Don't that sound familiar? They said we got to treat them as individuals and not as members of a tribe, not as members of family. We got to separate the family. In every tribe, they've done the same tactic. Jeremiah 50:33 said, Israel and Judah oppressed together. They refused to let us go. Judah, Ephraim, right? Federal Indian policy during the period from 1870 to 1900 marked a departure from earlier policies that were dominated by removal, treaties, reservations, and war. The new policy focused specifically on breaking up reservations and tribal lands by granting land allotments to individual Native Americans and encouraging them to take up agriculture. Just like you encourage the black man to pick cotton. Just like you encourage the so-called Mexican to do construction. Just like you encourage all of the northern kingdom of Israel to pick sugarcane. Become a worker. Work for me. It was reasoned that if a person adopted white clothing and ways and was responsible for their own farm, they would gradually drop their Indianness and be assimilated into white American culture. Y'all understand? This was a law. This was a law. This was not a suggestion. This was a law put into practice. But we want to be like the white man so bad in 2026. Then it would no longer be necessary for the government to oversee Indian welfare in the paternalistic ways it had previously done, including providing meager annuities with American Indians treated as dependents. Watch this. On February 8th, 1887, Congress passed the Dawes Act, named for its author, Senator Henry Dawes of Massachusetts, also known as the General Allotment Act. The law authorized the president to break up reservation land, which was held in common by the members of a tribe, into small allotments to be parceled out to individuals. Thus, Native Americans registered on a tribal roll were granted allotments of reservation land, to each head of a family 1/4 of a section, to each single person over 18 years of age 1/8 of a section, to each orphan child under 18 years of age 1/8 of a section, and to each other single person under 18 years now living who may be born prior to the date of the order of the president directing an allotment of the lands embraced in any reservation 1/16 of a section. Watch this. Section 8 of the Act. Section 8. Section 8 of the Act specified groups that were to be exempt from the law. It stated that the provisions of this act shall not extend to the territory occupied by the Cherokees, Creeks, Choctaws, Chickasaws, Seminoles, and Osage, Miamis, and Peorias, and Sacs and Foxes in the Indian Territory, nor to any of the reservations of the Seneca Nation of New York Indians in the state of New York, nor to that strip of territory in the state of Nebraska adjoining the Sioux Nation on the south. Subsequent events, however, extended the Act's provisions to these groups as well. In 1893, President Glover Cleveland appointed the Dawes Commission to negotiate with the Cherokees, Creeks, Choctaws, Chickasaws, and Seminoles. You know what they call today? The 5 civilized nations. As a result of these negotiations, several acts were passed that allotted a share of common property to members of the tribe, to the 5 civilized tribes, in exchange for abolishing their tribal governments and recognizing state and federal laws. In order to receive the allotted land, members were to enroll with the Office of Indian Affairs, later renamed the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA. Once enrolled, the individual's name went on the Dawes rolls. This process assisted the BIA and the Secretary of the Interior in determining the eligibility of individual members for land distribution. It's a lot to read, but it's some good stuff. It's good history. Watch this. The purpose of the Dawes Act and the subsequent acts that extended its initial provisions was purportedly to protect American Indian property rights, particularly during the land rushes of the 1890s. But in many instances, the results were vastly different. The land allotted to individuals included desert or near desert lands unsuitable for farming. In addition, the techniques of self-sufficient farming were much different from their tribal way of life. Many did not want to take up agriculture, and those who did not want to farm could not afford the tools, animals, seed, and other supplies necessary to get started. There were also problems with inheritance. Often young children inherited allotments that they could not farm because they had been sent away to boarding schools. Damn. Multiple heirs also caused a problem. When several people inherited an allotment, the size of the holdings became too small for effective farming. Tribes were also often underpaid for the land allotments, and when individuals did not accept the government requirements, the allotments were sold to non-native individuals, white man, causing American Indian communities to lose vast acreage of their tribal lands. That's what America did, the white man. And we are still in the same predicament we are in 2026 that our ancestors were in the 1800s. Oh, there's more. On the surface, this law was meant to help the Native American Indians. That's what the white men say. The white men say this law was meant to help you become civilized farmers. But if you look closer, it was all about theft. Watch this. After the law, the government started dividing the land and assigning them to people who were officially recognized as native. Y'all see the quotations on officially? That means you were no longer recognized from your ancestors. You were officially recognized by the government. So what did the government do? Who decided who was native, you ask? The government created the Dawes-Rolls Act. Watch this. Pull that up. Who decided who was native? The government developed the Dawes-Rolls Act. This is Wikipedia. The Dawes Rolls, or final rolls of citizens and freedmen of the 5 civilized tribes, or Dawes Commission of Final Rolls, were created by the United States Dawes Commission. The commission was authorized by United States Congress in 1893 to execute the General Allotment Act of 1887. That's what we just read. Traditionally, the land of these tribal communities had been held communally. With the establishment of the Dawes Commission, the ruling was made by the colonial agents to divide the land into parcels and institute a system of individual ownership in accordance with U.S. laws, overriding the treaty and tribal laws of the region. To allot the communal lands, citizens of the 5 tribes, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole, were to be enumerated and registered by the U.S. government. These counts also included the freedmen, formerly enslaved African Americans, who had been emancipated after the American Civil War, and their descendants. The rolls were used to assign allotments to heads of household and to provide an how you say that? Equitable, I know I'm saying it wrong, division of all monies obtained from sales of surplus lands. These rolls became known as the Dawes Rolls. When word got out that people could get land, watch this, many non-natives appeared at the offices and falsely claimed to be native. Don't that sound familiar? So now you want to be native? I thought we were savages. I thought we was no good. Many, you understand, when it says many non-natives, it's talking about white people. It's talking about the European, the French, the British, the Irish. Watch this. Most of these false claimants claim to be Cherokee, When I say I'm Cherokee, they say, no, you a nigga. But a white man could come to you and say, yeah, I'm Cherokee. And you believe it. Like all the melanin just disappeared. Family myths still persist. Myths still persist of hiding in the hills or of being rejected from the rolls or refusing to enroll when the reason for having not been enrolled is that the applicants were simply not Native American. Now, let me see. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Matter of fact, let me read Isaiah 65:15 first. Let me read Isaiah 65:15. It's Isaiah chapter 65 verse 15. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for the Lord God shall slay thee and call his servants by another name. Who did that happen to? Who did that happen to? Are we still live? Something happened to my thing. Okay, maybe that's just me. Okay. Yeah. So who can relate to that? Whose names will change? The Lord says his chosen will be slain, and his servants, his chosen, will be called by another name. If you've been called by another name, you're probably God's people. The Chinese people been Chinese all the time. Japanese always been Japanese. Russians always been Russians. White men always been white men. The French always been the French. The Irish always been the Irish. The German always been the German. God says his people will be called by another name. African American is another name. Hispanic is another name. Native American is another name. Being called Jamaican, West Indian Black, is another name. Puerto Rican, another name. Cuban, another name. Hey, Donald Trump is coming for Cuba. You better believe it. Hey, I'm gonna do a clip. God is angry with Cuba. God is angry with Manasseh. God is angry with the Northern Kingdom. And it's time to repent. And the Lord is going to make it so that you're going to go through something so tough, so hard, that's going to make you remember who you are. Watch this. Get the article. So this article is called Paying to Play Indian, the Dawes Roles and the Legacy of $5 Indians. I know y'all heard that term before. You a $5 Indian. You see a lot of $5 Indians on TikTok. You see a lot of $5 Indians at these powwows. You see a lot of $5 Indians at the BIA. We went over the BIA earlier, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. There's a lot of $5 Indians that don't have your best interests at heart. They don't want you to get ahead. That's why they live lavishly, while the real Native American Indians, who God calls Gad, are living like hell. Living in slop and slums and ghettos. To where it's not even beneficial for you to call the police or the ambulance. We went to one reservation. One brother said, you call an ambulance, it take them an hour to get there. One loaf of bread, white bread. No, he said Wonder Bread, was $10. One loaf of Wonder Bread was $10 on the reservation. We complaining about gas being high. on the reservation, they don't have grocery stores. Majority of them, they get their food from gas stations. And their bread, $10 a loaf. There's no sanitation systems. We've been to these reservations. Not all of them are like that, but a lot of them are. Well, they're poor. They look like third world countries. Right in your backyard. Right in your backyard. So, let's read the article. Pen to play Indian, the Dawes Rolls, and the legacy of $5 Indians. It may be fashionable to play Indian now, but it was also trendy 125 years ago when people paid $5 a piece for falsified documents declaring them native on the Dawes Rolls. Who do you think did that? These so-called $5 Indians paid government agents under the table in order to reap the benefits that came with having Indian blood. It means they didn't have Indian blood. White people. Mainly white men with an appetite for land. $5 Indians paid to register on the Dawes Rolls, earning fraudulent enrollment in tribes along with benefits inherited by generations to come. That means 2026. These offspring are still benefiting from their ancestors putting $5 down to be put on the Dawes Rolls. They're still benefiting today. These were opportunistic, thank you. Goodness gracious. These were opportunistic white men who wanted access to land or food rations, said Gregory Smithers, Associate Professor of History of Virginia, Commonwealth University. These were people who were more than happy to exploit the Dawes Commission and government agents for $5, were willing to turn a blind eye to the graft and corruption. They didn't exploit anything. They was all in it together. They was all in it together. See, when a white man do stuff, he don't think now. We think now. We think tomorrow. The white man thinks hundreds of years. If I put my name on this Dawes Rolls, my ancestors will always be on top. How I'm on top right now, I need to make sure that my offspring that come after me hundreds of years later will always be in that same position of authority, of benefiting from the land that I took for them. The Dawes Commission, did I read that? The Dawes Commission, established in 1893 to enforce the General Allotment Act of 1887, was charged with convincing tribes to cede their land to the United States and divide remaining land into individual allotments. The commission also required Indians to claim membership in only one tribe and register on the Dawes Rolls. The government meant to be a definitive record of individuals with Indian blood. So, watch this. We're going to jump down. By 1865, African Americans and white Americans were moving into the Midwest, into the Indian Oklahoma territories. Now, watch this. We just read the book, The Trail of Tears. This white man said 1865, African Americans and white Americans were moving to the Midwest into the Indian Oklahoma territories. Watch this. All vying for some patch of land they could call their own and live out their Jeffersonian view of independence. That's a lie. White people, the black man ain't have $5. You think the government agreed to give black people allotment of land? You crazy as hell, you believe that. A lot of Native Indians were told they are not native because they had Negroid features. So you gonna sit up and tell me that black people was given land and was able to be written down on the Dawes Rolls? No, that is incorrect. You had Native Americans who had Negro features and were told you're not Native American. That's why today When you think of an American, you think of someone with white boy features, sharp nose, high cheekbones. These are the things you think of. Light skin, stringy hair. These are the things you think of. When you meet somebody that look like an African American and they say, yeah, I'm actually Native American, what'd you say? Nope. We had some dude on here, I forgot his name, he blocked me. He keep blocking me. He blocked me, and he said that black people are doing nothing but blackwashing. How can the term don't even make sense? When you wash something, you wash the black out. You wash the dirt away. How can I blackwash something? You say black people want to be everybody. Well, in the beginning, all nations were black. The only nation that wasn't black was Esau, Idumea, the nation of Edom. But I digress. So that's how the $5 Indian came about. All right? That's how the $5 Indian came about. Let me get Hosea 11 and 10. And then we're going to close out. We ain't got no scoffers tonight, so maybe we need to say something more controversial. Hosea 11 and 10. They shall walk after the Lord. He shall roar like a lion. When he shall roar, then the children shall tremble from the west. God is telling you where his children are going to be in the last days. They would be on the Western Hemisphere, where the Northern Kingdom, majority of the Northern Kingdom, because we still do have remnants in Africa, remnants in Iraq, remnants in India, remnants in China, remnants in Japan, okay, remnants in Australia, Solomon Islands, the Polynesian Islands, Hawaii. We got remnants all over the planet. But God is telling you that the majority would be on this side of the earth. So, here's the truth most people don't want to talk about. Colonization didn't just redraw maps. It redefined people. It renamed nations. It erased identities. And in many cases, it tried to make entire bloodlines disappear from history. But bloodlines are stubborn. Stories survive. Memories survive. And the deeper people dig into the past, the harder it becomes to keep the truth buried. Because before the borders, before the governments, before the rewritten history, there were people who knew exactly who they were. And we went over that. And the question now is, what happens when they remember again? This is Before the Borders, and the remnant will remember.